One of the main pleasures of traveling abroad is the opportunity to spend money on all sorts of pleasant nonsense. But it's one thing to fork out yourself, and it's quite another to pay them to the local police for violating the law. And one from which at least stand, at least fall. In which parts of the world is it not worth feeding pigeons and storing potatoes, wearing pink shorts and chewing gum, making snowmen and reading comics? The strangest and funniest laws of different countries are in our video. True or false? There are enough ridiculous laws in every country. Some of them arise in special historical circumstances or because of legal precedents. Time passes, the situation changes, but what is written in the criminal code can no longer be cut down with an axe. Yes, legislators are usually too lazy to change something. One thing saves: the most stupid and absurd, as a rule, are not observed. On the other hand, there are various fake laws. They are often written about on the web, but in reality they do not exist. For example, the ban on kissing at train stations is attributed either to England or France. Allegedly, in this way the authorities guarantee that passengers will take their seats on time and the train will move according to schedule. Australia. One of the funniest prohibitions in Australia says that you have no right to appear on the street in pink shorts on Sundays. In second place, they always recall the prohibition to twist the light bulb yourself. Supposedly only a qualified electrician has this privilege. In fact, no Australian policeman will fine you for all these sins. But you can actually pay money if you store, buy or sell more than 50 kilos of potatoes in Western Australia. This law has been enforced since the food wars with the British metropolis. In the same region, you will pay a $1,000 fine if you try to crumple a can of beer between your bare breasts. And in South Australia, you will be charged $10,000 for disrupting the wedding ceremony. England. There are also a lot of strange laws in Britain, which, fortunately, are not enforced by anyone. On paper, you are forbidden to clean carpets on the street from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., drive cattle around the city during the day without permission, turn a stamp with the image of the king or queen upside down. But where it is really dangerous to joke with banknotes is in Asia. In Thailand you will be fined if you step on a banknote with the image of the monarch, and it is generally forbidden to export rupees from India. But if you feed the seagulls in the coastal county of Suffolk, you will probably have to put about 3,000 out of your pocket. The local authorities do not like breeding birds. And tourists in London should remember that a fine for cycling on the sidewalk will cost you 100, and if you park your car and don't turn off the engine for more than 3 minutes, prepare 120. Well, the stupidest law in the UK, according to local residents, is a ban on death in the Parliament building. The law was passed in 1313 and is explained simply: if you died in Parliament, the state is obliged to bury you at its own expense. So you will be on a tour in Parliament. Hold on. Belgium. If you are in Belgium in the cold season, remember the ridiculous law that prohibits residents from throwing snowballs at each other. 5 years ago, Belgium decided at the legislative level that a snowball and a stone are one and the same thing. And if your $100 is dear to you, find something more interesting. It's better to roll down a snow slide or make a snowman. After all, not everywhere you can do it with impunity. Canada. Yes, it is in the Canadian city of Souris that it is forbidden to sculpt snowmen above 75 centimeters. And in the city of Petrolia in Ontario, you cannot whistle, as well as shout and make any loud sounds around the clock at any time of the year. The local community has an extremely negative attitude towards noisy tourists, which it warns about in advance on its official website. But these are all flowers compared to the absurd ban on publishing, distributing and storing comics on criminal plots. I wonder how this line got into Canadian law at all. Fortunately, no one has issued any real fines for reading comics yet. Egypt. You have been to this country more than once. But if you decide to admire the birds with binoculars near the airport, it's better not to. You may end up under arrest and even end up in prison for attempting to spy on state aviation. Italy. Another country is a leader in ridiculous bans. One of the most famous of them is the ban on feeding pigeons in St. Mark's Square. The reason is simple: birds disfigure monuments and spread diseases. The fine is about $600. In Venice and Florence, it is also better not to spoil pigeons with bread. Local authorities take care of historical facades. Interestingly, in other cities of Italy, lawmaking is also in full swing. In Iraklia, you can't build sand castles, supposedly it interferes with strollers along the embankment. It is forbidden to collect seashells on the Venetian beaches, fine, from $25 to $250. Wooden shoes are not allowed to be worn in Capri, as they make a loud sound. And in Eboli you will have to pay $500 if you are caught kissing in the car. However, this is nothing compared to kissing in Dubai and Indonesia. There you can pay not only a fine, but also your own freedom. Germany. There is a strange law in this country, according to which you cannot brake on the autobahns, even if you have a flat tire or run out of fuel. Maybe you will be able to somehow persuade the police to your side, but you will probably have to say goodbye to €100. Switzerland. A variety of publications write that in this country it is forbidden to flush the toilet after 10 p.m., ostensibly to observe the norms of silence. In fact, no one will fine you for this. But you can easily pay $109 for a naked walk in the Alps. This law has been in force since 2010. Singapore. You'll pay as much as $500 if you don't flush the water in a public toilet. The love of chewing gum will cost you $400, you can't import it into Singapore, and even more so chewing it. And, by the way, about the birds, they also got it from the local authorities. You will have to pay as much as $1,000 if you want to lure birds. USA. And closes the list of countries with stupid and absurd laws, of course, the USA. There are dozens of ridiculous legislative initiatives in some states. Sometimes they even make the locals smile. And sometimes they threaten real fines. For example, in Illinois, you can be charged $1,000 if you beat rats with a baseball bat. In Minnesota, up to $2,000 if you drive around the city with dirty tires. The authorities of Colorado will fine you $500 for killing a dog, although if you stole it from a neighbor, you can even go to prison for 10 years. Do you have an extra $25 and you don't know where to spend it? Just flirt with someone in New York or wear a skirt trousers below 3 centimeters from the hip line in Georgia. And finally, you should not run with your back after sunset in Connecticut, keep a horse in the bathroom in South Carolina, or walk with a lion to a movie theater in Maryland. This is prohibited by local laws, and just common sense.